Serge, great to have you on today. Really appreciate you coming on and talking a bit about your business and your experience.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Michael, for inviting me. That was cool.
Awesome. Well, to go ahead and kick us off, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Serge, 23-year-old. I live in Canada, Montreal, Canada. And I run I try to, it's like a consulting business slash agency, right? And what we specialize in is we just specialize in helping build client acquisition infrastructures for service providers. So for people running online services, agencies, coaches, consultants who are selling high ticket services, high ticket programs essentially. And yeah, just build outbound campaigns and outbound teams for them.
That's awesome. And I noticed you're also young. I'm 22, you're 23. So I'm always curious to ask, how long have you been doing this?
So I've been wanting to get in online since like 2019. That's when I bought my first course. But I was still working a 9 to 5 till July 2020. So summer of 2020, that's when I quit my job. But so yeah, so since I guess July 2020, it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah, so you've taken off pretty
Two
quick.
years.
That's awesome. And
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta ask, what was the first course that got you in?
I bought Amazon FBA by Dan Voss first.
Okay,
That
so it
was the
wasn't
first
agency
course.
space.
Yeah, not agency. It was more like Amazon FBA. So buy products, arbitrage.
Nice. And did you give the Amazon business model a try?
I learned about it. I never tried. I didn't have enough money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I looked into FBA when I was first getting started as well, but I went up to agency route. It's a great entry level business because you learn a lot of skills and also it's really inexpensive to start.
Yeah, and for me, I think what helped me the most is I went into Amazon, learn about that. Well, actually my first ever course was, I think the first ever purchase I've ever made over the phone. Someone selling me was Airbnb. So how to build an Airbnb business. It was a $700 course. I think that was the first. I mean, at the time it was high ticket for me. And then I went and bought Amazon, and then went and bought a drop shipping course. And then from there, I think like everyone does the transition. You just start with Amazon and then you go to drop shipping, and then you realize, oh shit, this requires a lot of money. And then you end up in the agency model.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I started in growing Instagram pages and doing affiliate and shout out, and I got in drop shipping, then moved into the agency route. So I'm definitely with you on that one. And
Yeah.
so what was the point where you decided that the agency and consulting route was the direction you wanted to take?
So for me, it didn't happen like that. I think it was more like the first thing that changed was what I was selling first, right? So I started up with an advertising agency, right? That was my main offer. That was my main service that I wanted to make money with, and scale my business. When I quit my job in July, I didn't get a client until like September, right? Got my first coach client. We're meant to build a video sales letter for him, build a funnel, and then run ads to it. But what ended up happening is that he didn't have a budget for ads, right? Which is something that a lot of people don't really understand. When you're trying to sell ads, like there's only a tiny segment of the market who actually can sustain ads, right? Ad spend. So what we decided to do, because he was selling a high ticket program, I was like, you know what? Why don't I do the outbound that I did to get you on a call and sell you my service for you while we're waiting for you to collect more capital? So ended up doing done for you appointment setting on LinkedIn, right? And then we did that for a few months. And while I was doing it, I realized that, I was struggling with appointment setting. Other agencies are struggling with appointment setting. While we have this thing going on, right? Which at first wasn't really my main offer, but I was like, well, we figured out a really good way of prospecting. Let's just introduce it to my network, and ended up having a bunch of agencies. I think I got on like 90 sales calls in 30 days following that.
That's awesome.
And then I started selling appointment setting, and then at some point I was like, you know what? I think I see more product market fit or service market fit with this appointment setting thing. And December of 2020, that's when I decided to literally go all in and transition to an appointment setting agency. And your question was consulting too. Well, consulting only happened when, so I ended up going from like 0 to 30K a month in like 3 months, from January 2021 to like March or May, April. And then I realized like it's too much work, but it's not too much work because it's hard to work. It's because there is a lot of stuff that I can't control in their businesses, right? Especially when people are coming from courses with, you know, all this, they have all same offers, and then they
Sure.
know nothing. They just think that I'm going to send a message or we're going to blast on IG a few brands and then they're going to get meetings. But it's like, I couldn't control it. So what I decided to do is I created a program where we actually give people new offers, or we improve their offers before we do anything related to outreach.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart idea. I mean, even looking at our clients have done for your meetings, we have some that do good and some that do great, and then some that just, I
Yeah.
could choose 5 of our clients that just blow it out of water. And it's not that they get more attention or have some unique method, it's just that they have something people really want. And like you
Yeah.
mentioned, people go for the same programs, they copy the same funnel, they copy the same verbiage, the same email script, and then they wonder why they can't get different results. And that's
Yeah.
why.
It's painful. It's painful.
I think everybody went through that at least a little bit. Even like going back to drop shipping, right? How many people try to drop ship like the bead lion bead bracelets, or like when I first got a drop ship, it was like 2016. Everybody was selling like emergency like survival lighters. That was one thing. Like there's a
Okay.
whole, I can remember the same products everybody was trying to drop ship because people are making YouTube videos that they were like hot products. So
Yeah.
being unique really does pay off. Um,
Yeah.
but
I,
transitioning to where you're at, sorry.
the one thing that I've noticed, so there is like a slight difference between leveraging, like I think so lately I've been looking at not just my progress, but also looking at some of our best customers. You know, we have customers who've gone from 0 to literally like 100K a month in like 4 months. And when I think about and this also came from something that I heard from one of Hormoz's videos, but for anyone out there, the goal is not necessarily to just be like completely unique, because the only way you actually scale fast is by leveraging trends. So it's like, but you got to be first in the trend. You can't just be the guy watching a video with 100,000 views talking about a
Yeah,
drop shipping product, right? So it's like you hear about a trend, you look at where the market is going, and then you push that offer to the market, because that's what we've been doing. Especially, I'm not sure if you've seen, but a lot of the customers that we have, we're getting them, especially those who are who are e-commerce agencies, we're getting them to push TikTok offers
sure.
because it's trending, right? And you know, that's what has been scaling. So like, still need to look at what other people are doing, what people are winning with the fastest, and push that. But not too long. You got to figure out
Yeah.
your own thing after.
Or a unique spin if you want to sustain it. I mean, we have some clients that still offer Facebook ads the same way that they teach in a course, but they also have like a really unique offer, and they have branding, and they have like a really unique niche. But I'm with you on trends like TikTok. We have clients that are just blowing out of the water, especially like TikTok UGC. Like people just
Yeah.
want it. It crushes. Um,
Yeah.
you mentioned you have clients selling TikTok. I don't know if they're selling UGC, but if they are, we've actually found selling like big enterprise companies UGC for TikTok blowing out of the water. Like we've been getting our biggest bookings from TikTok.
In B2B, or you mean and okay, so not B2B because that's too broad, but are you meaning to e-com brands or to like B2B, like big companies who aren't necessarily in e-com?
Both. So to like,
Both?
it's amazing how everybody wants UGC, mainly ecom, but not exclusively. But we've booked like some, look at the top 500 e-commerce brands in the world, like Walmart's and Amazon's. We've got a couple of them on calls for
Nice.
TikTok for clients, and it's just for buying it from so many different sources. Where you look at like a Facebook ads agency, they might work with 2 or 3. But for UGC, they might work with 100 different people. So it's a great foot in the door.
Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, a lot of people are pushing ads, TikTok, but the main thing that people are really pushing is, or that people want is UGC. It's been an amazing trend.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So, transitioning more to your agency and consulting business right now, I mean, I'd imagine that a lot of the ways you're getting clients are the same you teach to your customers, but I'd love to hear like a breakdown of like what are the top things that you're doing right now to make sure that yourself and your sales team have calls on the calendar consistently.
For our own acquisition.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. We've grown a lot through, I've spent probably like, I spent a few money on ads before, but I've never really been able to make it work to help us book meetings. The only things that we've relied on for our acquisition is really simple. I was about to mention the YouTube page, but the YouTube page, we'll talk about it after. But so we have I've built something called a growth team, right? It's kind of like an end-to-end sales rep, but they don't sell. All they do is they just go find a lead, qualify the lead, find the inefficiencies in their businesses, educate the prospect on a better mechanism, and then offer a value call, right? So I have a growth team of like 6 people. And then we leverage a lot Facebook, right? Because a lot of our audience is on Facebook. We also leverage a little bit of LinkedIn. Well, I hate LinkedIn, but I still got to use it because there is some good people on there. Yeah, we use a lot social platforms to do outbound. We're doing anywhere from 750 to 1,000 DMs a day, and we book on average 60 to 100 meetings a week. And yeah, it's purely through outbound, and content just warms up people before they can jump on a call.
That's awesome. And that's some high volume. You said 750 a day.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I'm assuming at that rate, right, you're using not just your own name, but these growth specialists have their own accounts. I'm guessing they're doing messaging on. Is that right?
Yeah. Because yeah, that's the whole point. Is I couldn't just and the funny thing is, in our business, we have a community of trained setters, right? Because when we're coming into businesses, we have to hire and train setters for, leveraging VAs for our clients. But, if you want to scale past, let's say 500,000 a month, you kind of can't rely on just your assets or myself or my profile. So, yeah, everyone has their own profile. It's like they have their own little business within my business, and they're just, making it rain.
That's sweet. Love to hear it. Because that's one thing that I've been trying to decide what to do, because I'm at the point where I max out on my platforms, or any more is going to push me to spam.
Yeah.
So the first step I'm doing is I'm gonna use my girlfriend's profile and brand it around business a little bit. And then like some of my best employees, we're gonna start using theirs. So that's some good positive reinforcement for the next step I was planning on taking.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, build a growth team, and it's the easiest thing, man. Because especially and by the way, the difference between a growth team and a VA or an appointment setter that you can just hire from any website is that there are people who actually already are in your industry, people who have felt the same pain that you solve, people who would buy your service. So they, like, at the core of them, like, they understand why your business exists. So when it goes to prospecting, they prospecting to people just like themselves. And it's like trying to get a lawyer to sell to another lawyer, or trying to get a doctor to sell to another. So it's like the ramp up process is pretty fast.
That's awesome. Well, that's really creative. I got some good ideas from that. So that ties into another question, which is about your personal brand. So obviously I see your content everywhere, man. Like before this, I just followed you on YouTube, but when I asked you for an interview, I decided to add you on like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And I swear I see your face like 15 times a day. So I'd love to hear, how your personal brand has impacted your business.
Yeah. So at first I didn't, because at first what I was thinking is, or I've actually realized like how important having, not for me, I don't really call it a personal brand. I just call them like sales assets, right? Because I think personal brand, you kind of like need to, it takes time for you, because I don't really have that crazy of a following for now, but maybe after I have a few 10,000 subscribers, I'll call it a personal brand. But for now, it's just some content that people consume. But I think that personally, if you're not creating content in 2022, you will never build a business that you feel like you've accomplished something great. And the reason why I say that is because anyone who doesn't have a content or a personal brand, like you call it, is that they're going to have to work 10 times as hard to only achieve half as much as someone with a personal brand who isn't even doing as much outreach or as much outbound as the person who, who doesn't have any. So for me, and maybe we could use figures to try to like explain the value of personal brand and content. But so I created this consulting business in July last summer, right? And we went from like, we hit our first like 6-figure month in like less than 5 months. And then 10 months later, I think, like 2 months ago, we hit like almost 200K a month, right? Now, am I really doing, of course, there is the outbound part of it, but there is no way you sell, because we're pretty high ticket, right? We're over 5 figures, our program. There is no way you sell a 5-figure program to agency owners who, some of them may be doing less than 10K a month, right? Some of them may be doing less than 5K a month, right? There is no way you get someone to pay that kind of money if you don't have them sold before they actually get on a sales call, right? So personal branding content, oh my God, like it's literally like, it's the cheat code, right? Even look at how Alex Hormozy, right? Why would he be doing content every fucking day?
Yeah.
He's already have an $80 million company, right? Why? Because he understands that to get to $1 billion, he kind of like can't rely on outbound or even advertising, right? Because you at some point advertisement becomes, the cost becomes too high to actually even, make sense. So he's trying to build a brand and have this kind of like influence plus expertise, business expertise. When you combine both, that's when you build $1 billion companies.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's and it makes sense. I mean, you look at why does Gary Vee need content? Why does Grant Cardone need content? And Grant Cardone's a great example. Grant's no matter what you think about him, if you follow Grant Cardone, that man puts out content. He puts it out like 15 posts a day, something crazy. I mean, his email list, Grant's email list is one of the few I had to unsubscribe from, so I got like 15 emails a day from him.
I've never been on it. I probably should be on it so that I can get inspired. I don't blast my people enough.
It's brutal. I saw Grant speaking live, and he was talking about a conversation he had with his head of marketing where they got in a fight over Grant wanting to send 10 emails a day. And he's just like, must make it happen. Now, I think that might be a bit excess maybe, but it's a good example of like how important content is. And it's something that's easy to sleep on. Like even myself, I've kind of half-assed content for the last 7 years. And I've been really consistent with it for the last few months. And when I look at like, we had a really good month this month. And a lot of it, I think, is due to the content pushing more people. I mean, especially YouTube. You and I both don't have huge channels. I'm getting pushing right at 1,000 subs. I'm like 50 away. I'm getting 10, 15 calls a month from YouTube, like just straight off YouTube to a calendar. I mean, it's ridiculous what a brand or content, everyone to call it, can do.
Yeah. No, it's just so much. It's like paradise, because if someone has, because for me, like I do put out content a lot, like because I'm like, hey, I don't want to have to like negotiate. I don't want to have to overcome an objection. I mean, I don't take sales calls, but my team does. But I don't necessarily want them to have to feel like they're hustling to try to make a sale, right? So I'd rather change old people's beliefs, make them understand that like this is not necessarily just something that you can just skip. You cannot skip from having a client acquisition infrastructure. You kind of like need it to make money, right? So I just handle all the objections on 165 videos. And then, if they still have any other objection, I think the sales guy will handle it. But yeah, content, guys, like personally, every single customer who comes in, I think, because once I realized how important that this was, I actually built it in our process, in our like roadmap for like scaling. It's like it's actually part of the infrastructure we help with our clients. It's content. Like content is the second step after you have a great offer. We need to communicate your offer, and then we need to build a YouTube page and some content on it, and then we do the outbound, and then we build the campaign, the team. But and you know, we have a recent customer who put out one literal YouTube video. You know, he has like a bit under like 500 subscribers, and all he did was put up this. So we've built like a framework around communicating an agency story to actually have it relate to the market and to the offer. And a brand doing like 500K a month ended up booking a call.
That's awesome. Good testament,
It's
right?
crazy. It's, you know, like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, you would have to send a lot of emails to get that brand on a call, you know, but watch the 10-minute video and they felt like, you know, the guy was a good person to help them.
Offer content outbound. The
Yeah.
triad, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's the one that helps you make it rain.
Well, sweet, man. One more question about your agency that I want to talk about, like your personal aspirations. This is a question I love to ask. It's, what do you do to keep your client retention high? So what are you doing internally to make sure your current customers become future customers? Because I think a lot of newer agencies under consider how important this is. You know, like when I look at like my best customers I've had for years, you know, they're a big portion of revenue. And obviously a lot of people struggle with retention. So I'd love to hear some internal strategies or ideologies that you guys use in order to achieve that.
Okay, so this question doesn't necessarily apply to us much because we sell one-time fees. So we don't necessarily have a recurring model. I mean, we do have a recurring model because we can give people payment plans. So some people pay over a few months, but that does not mean that I don't behave or build systems as if we have a recurring model, because because we're still a consulting business, but we do done for you, right? Now, the reason why I decided to introduce these done for you mechanisms is because I actually realized that, like, you know, most of these consulting businesses, like most of these, especially these, hey, coaches, coaching coaches, blah, 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 blah. Like these people, their success rate is probably less than 1%. And the reason to that is because it's not just enough for me to tell you that content is important. It's not just enough for me to tell you that you can do 1,000 DMs a day on IG. It's not just enough for me to tell you that you can leverage someone else's audience on Facebook. It's not enough. So what we've done is, when you become a customer, right? Because the only thing that's going to get someone to stay and actually keep implementing on the stuff that they're paying you for is if you reduce the amount of sacrifices and effort needed, and you actually make the time to success really fast. So what I've done, and that's after reading Hormoz's book, but what I've done is, when you become a customer, the 24 hours, the onboarding happens in less than 24 hours, right? And then we improve your offer and then walk you through the process. After that, 2 days later, we build your outbound team, or get you to pick whoever you want to work with. And then we also build your outbound campaign, right? And then in the first 15 days, every single day for the first 15 days, we need to have a report on what was done every single day, right? After the first 15, so the 15th day to the 30th, every 2 days, we need a report on what was done. After the first month, we need it every 3 days or twice a week. After the second month, we need it once a week. After the third month, then we need it every like 10 days. Now, the reason to that is because we don't want people to go back to their old habit, right? So we're kind of like forcing them to potentially be successful, right? So it's like they don't have time to not stay because or not implement, because it's like, hey, like, not only are we taking care of everything, we're giving you the offer, we're giving you the content framework, we're giving you the outreach team, we're just launching these campaigns on these multiple channels, but we're also making sure that, like, hey, every single day we need to know what's going on. If you have an issue, we solve it in less than whatever, you know. So it's more like we're really paying close attention to these customers. And yeah, but when it comes to retention, let's say one thing that I suggest to customers is their onboarding process. I think your onboarding process dictates if someone is going to stay or not. Funny thing, and I'm gonna say this because I just spent 24 grand on an agency, right, in 60 days. I did not get anything from it. Do you know why? Because their onboarding process did not have any way of communicating what we do exactly. Like, I didn't feel confident in the team that was assigned to me, and in feeling like they actually knew what we did. Like, I didn't, like, when someone really understands, like, when you have, let's say, a sales rep who are like, yeah, this, he understands everything. I can sleep well at night. He'll take care of closing or
Sure.
helping a customer, right? I did not feel that way with the agency. So, and I'm not saying that, they did a bad thing, but I'm just saying that their onboarding process did not make me feel confident in their ability. So after that, I had to literally recreate the creatives, recreate the copy, recreate the videos, all that good stuff. So it's like, yeah, I just paid 24 grand essentially for a lesson, which is, agencies are great, but guys, if you want to be great, you need to have your onboarding systems. Like, if they're not great, guys, like, it's going to be hard for you to actually scale a business, right?
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, you're reselling people essentially. There's a lot of doubt right after you pay that invoice, and coming off professional after that, reframing the benefits, reframing the timeline. And I love how you mentioned the quick wins, right? How fast can you get those first little snippets of people seeing success, and how can you hold them accountable to that? Because obviously initially they're acting off that excitement, but how can you sustain that? Naturally motivation can die down. So it sounds like you guys are doing a really good job to keep people, accountable and seeing them do well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a must. It's a must, especially when people, because I think a lot of people, and this is something that I've realized, especially in this online game, many people are sold the ease, like the ease. That ease
Sure.
is the sales pitch, right? Like, oh yeah, so, start an agency. Yeah, you're gonna go from 0 to 10K a month. Or you're gonna go from a 10K a month to 100K a month. Oh yeah, just do 20 emails a day, or do 30 outreach, or 40 friend requests on Facebook. But it's like, no, you need hundreds of outreach every day, right? And it's gonna be hard. So for us, the expectations for HR customers, like, we don't want you to think it's easy. We want you to realize that it's hard, so that, at least when you expect it to be hard, you're not going to be lazy when it comes to putting in the work. So yeah, we're kind of like, just going crazy with
I dig
everyone
it.
who's trying to scale. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
like how
that's
you
it.
said sell and ease, because I do know what you're talking about. I mean, even like the ads I see on YouTube and Facebook, like people sell it's the easiest way, the fastest way, the quickest way, the trick, right?
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but like even like when I look at like what I do, like nothing is, I don't really have a trick. Like I have a few things that help. I just do it consistently and do it well.
100%, 100%. It's all about volume of outreach, really. We have a rule that if you're doing less than 300 outreach per day, you should just quit your business. You should just leave. You should
Keep the
just
volume
go get
really
a
high.
job. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got one more question. We learned a lot about your business. Now I want to know about yourself. Like what is your major goal here? Do you want to grow this for the next 10 years? Do you want to have an exit? Like what are the next 5, 10 years look like?
Um, I think, uh, I think so. I don't just have a 10-year goal, because I think it's too far away. And I don't know how to contextualize what my goals would be in 10 years, in a decade. That's a long time. But eventually, if let's say I take my time or whatever, I think I would love to get to build like a conglomerate of like companies that do 100 million a year. Now, my goal with client acquisition at IO is to scale it to 8 figures in the next. I think we can pull it off in 24 months, 15 to 24 months. From there, just, I think, the lens from which I've built this company, is I've built it from the lens of anyone who wants to I want to be the company that people go to make it unreasonable for them not to see success. And the reason why I did that is because, I've always wanted to, I've, I've always wanted to see success, right? But what I've realized is that most people in this online space, they're selling stuff that are the most efficient for their success, right? Meaning everyone is being taught, you know what, sell this service or sell this consulting thing, get to 100K a month, get to 1 million a month. And you only have to work 5 hours to 10 hours a week. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. But it's only about you. What about your clients, right? So I want to go the other way around. I'd love to do more work for my customers because I want our companies to be the reason why they're like, hey, like everything was taken care of. Like was nothing, no stone left unturned because, oh, they took care of the offer. Oh, they took care of the content. Oh, they took care of the outbound. Oh, they took care of this. They took care of making personalized videos for me. They took care of, launching all this stuff, right? And yeah, I just want to be like a system where you just jump in and let's say you're at a certain stage in life or in business and you want to get to there. And then, we're the reason why it's inevitable for you not to see this transformation. So like, that's the vision that I have for this company.
That's sweet. I like it. And you can't say the same for a lot of people in the information space or even agency space. It's a very one-sided world. I mean, even, I look at my investments I made in myself, maybe 40% of them had good intentions. Or I shouldn't say good intentions, not that everyone's had bad intentions. Maybe 40% of them had the majority of their intention to be me, not them. So I like what you're saying there. I think that's pretty cool. Well, Serge, appreciate your time. This was dope. Loved hearing about the business. I'm sure my listeners would as well. I'll make sure to leave your links down below to YouTube, IG. But is there anything else you want to say as a sign off here?
No, man. No, thank you for having me on this chat, and I really appreciate you, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it easy. Thank you.
Cool, man. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.